What's up, guys? Brian with Brian Pavlick Designs, formerly of New Leaf Paddle and Surf. And I'm sorry for the video quality, but I just got to get this video out there. It's been a long time since I've done any type of videos online, but my biggest claim to fame is, if you don't know who I am, it's going on 5 years this year that I did a series of videos on how to do all the planer modifications on like the old school Hitachi body style planers, the P20 SBs and the SBKs. And my biggest claim to fame was the on-the-fly adjustment with the hot and cold water stem that you could get from Lowe's or Home Depot. I know we're on some rough roads, so the video might look like crap right about here. But well, let me just preface this video by saying this. So what all those videos were meant for was basically the I guess you could say the backyard shaper, or the little guy that didn't really want to invest all the money into buying a brand new planer for $400, and this way he could actually do the planer for about a little more than half the cost of what it would cost to do the planer. Now, what I didn't mean for those videos to be utilized for was for people to take those modifications and do a bunch of planers and then start selling them online. Now, I'm seeing a lot of them pop up online right now, and I don't know what it is. It must be like, I don't know, but people are DMing me a lot recently. Like within this last month, I'm getting a lot of DMs, a lot of comments on my Instagram page and Facebook, asking me if I'm still doing the modifications, if they can still send me their planers, and this, that, and the other. So I see it as a sign that I got to get this video out. So back to the matter at hand. I didn't mean for everybody to start doing these planers and then selling them online. So what I'm about to do is, for lack of a better word, kind of shit all over the people that are actually doing that. Now, I understand everybody's hustle. I'm one to always make a little extra cash here and there and stuff, but I'm about to go over why using that hot and cold water stem has some major flaws if you're planning on selling that to the general public. So with that being said, let me just go over some of this stuff and I'll show you what I mean. All right, guys, so this is what I mean. This is what I've showed you guys how to use, or what to use, in those prior videos. So basically, this is, I've been taking these out of all the planers that I've been doing locally, because I come across a new mechanism that works fantastic, and every planer that I did locally, I asked for them back, and I came out of pocket to put the new mechanism in. Now, before we get too far, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on the new mechanism. So, I mean, not to sound like an asshole, but please don't DM me or message me or say, or can you give me a hint on where to find this or what it is, because I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on that. I'm sorry, but the parts that I need for those are very, very limited, and it's not made anymore. So basically, I need to kind of cover my butt to do these planers the correct way. All right, so back to what we were talking about. This is the hot and cold water stem that you see on pretty much all of these planers that I showed you how to do about 5 years ago. And these are obviously what they're using for to sell online. So one telltale sign to whether or not they are using this is, I also showed you guys how to make the handle. If you see a handle like this, obviously it's just PVC, PVC parts all glued together, and then like, I forgot what that is, a plastic coat sprayed, and then it's got this set screw or like collar that's put in here. So downfall number one, if you can see how that's put in there, this will pop out. I've had a couple people break these right off because they're just super glued in. So once it's on the body, it's very easy to just pop that thing right off, and then it's broken. So, and then you got to go back, undo everything, and then you have to super glue that in. So that's downfall number one. Now, the major downfall of this machine, or this mechanism, is this. So if you know the mechanics of this, this is in the shoe. This will go down in there, and you pull it out. So there's a series of washer, a spring, a washer, and then this, basically this shaft collar. Well, as you can see, everything on here is smooth. And then also that shaft collar, I don't know if the video shows it, but it's very loose. The only thing that's keeping this together is this one little set screw. It's basically getting pinched up against the, there goes the mowers next door. I live on a golf course, so that's what that is. That's the maintenance crew driving by. So that's basically one little pinch or set screw that pinches against everything and holds it all in place. Well, that's not ideal because of all the compression of the spring and stuff like that. If you accidentally hit the top of that shoe or whatever and it comes out, the zero mark or the flush cut is no longer the same. And if you do not know how to take that mechanism apart and re-put it together and then set it at zero, which is a bitch, you're never going to get that machine back together. So that's another major downfall with it being smooth like that. Okay, so again, if it's utilizing a handle like this, if you see them online for sale like this, that is exactly what they're using in that. Now what we're using is, like I said, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag and let you know what I am utilizing, but I actually got one hidden right here, but I'm not going to let you see what's on the bottom side of it. But the main shaft of it is a 1/2 inch coarse thread screw, or not a bolt, but just all thread. Okay, so look at the thickness of this as opposed to this. Okay, now also take note that that is threaded. That is a big deal. So what I have here is basically what we're utilizing, only on a smaller scale. This is a threaded shaft collar. So once you have your springs and your washers and everything is compressed, this is very easy to actually cinch all that up and then keep it at a zero mark. Anybody can put this machine back together if they take it apart. And also, that is the way that Clark Foam did them back in the day. Now the Clark Foam planers haven't been made, I want to say, since 2008 or in between 2008 and 2010 are the last time that you've seen those Clark Foam planers. This, easy to cinch up with a little Allen wrench and it stays in place forever. Okay, so you're never going to have to worry about that. And also, our handles are the exact same Clark Foam handles that were being utilized back in the day. Also threaded. So everything, and there goes another lawnmower, everything stays in place. This will not come off, plus imagine having that collar right there. So what we're doing now is also using the 1/2 inch stainless threaded lock collars, which you can see on, this is my daily runner, you can actually see on this planer. The new mechanisms also have a true 1/4 turn. So downfall number 3 on utilizing this is this takes a 1/2 turn. So you're actually twisting your wrist pretty good to get it to where you need to go. This, we've engineered this. So basically, this little ball and stem pointing at this end right here is the zero cut, and then 1/4 turn to that end is the full cut. So you always have a 1/4 turn. And I mean, also, if you take a look at this planer, all the modifications done on this planer are 95% exact to what Clark Foam did with their planers. And I don't show that in a lot of the other modifications. So I'll go over some more of these modifications, of what I've been doing with these modifications, and obviously you can take a look at it and the planer looks much more like a Clark Foam planer, which a lot of people, for nostalgic reasons, if you want this older body style, that's why you gravitate towards it. Now US Blanks makes the new Hitachi body styles, which are phenomenal machines as well. So the only way to go, I mean, the only reason to come back to this is, again, if you're a newer shaper and you've seen your old school favorite shaper utilize one of these older P20 SBs. It's also got a smaller motor, which is a little bit better for non-tearing of foam and stuff. So the newer body styles that US Blanks is doing has a more beefier motor and it has a little bit more RPMs. But let's go over what is all entailed in the new modifications that I'm doing on all of my planers. All right, so let's get this one out of the way. Okay, so this is my daily runner now. Up until recently, I've been using the exact same planer that you've seen me do all the modifications on in the year or 5 years ago. That was my daily runner up until this last month. I just recently stumbled across this new mechanism, and I wanted to make the planer look exactly like the Clark foam planer. So let me go over what we're doing now that nobody else is doing as of yet. Okay, so first off, our planers, I already went over, have the true Clark foam style grip. They have the true threaded 1/2 inch set collar lock. And then it's also got the rounded shoe, just like Clark foam had. Now, I have a jig where I make these, I do a handful of these a year, and I make these exactly the same every single time. So there is no discrepancies. No, I'm not just, free-willing it and grinding the hell out of this. I have a jig that I set this in, and they make these perfect every single time. One thing I didn't show you on the videos was these little dust caps. No big deal, you can get these anywhere, but they actually put them in all the Clark foam machines to keep foam from going inside. Also, so I already went over 1/4 turn. So you can see, hopefully you can see the turning radius on it. Now, we don't have a stop on the inside. That is the only thing different than what Clark foam did. Clark foam, I'm sure, had a patent on whatever they did. Everything that they had was sealed. You couldn't take it apart, much less other than just taking off the handle and pulling it apart. They don't use the compression springs and washers like we do. So with that being said, we still have this little knob and ball. For A, it's a reference point. From corner to corner is closed to open. And also, if you have or ever used or have a Skill 100, it works the exact same way as the Skill 100. So, also, obviously, because I just got done saying we don't have stops in them, we still have to be able to stop that so everything doesn't fall out the bottom. So basically, it'll still stop towards the body, and then it'll never come out. But what I've thought of is this is actually it's kind of a blessing in disguise that is like that. So if you can take a good look, there's actually a gap in between the sponge type gasket and the body. Well, that makes it much easier for you to get a hose up in there and blow out any of the foam. Now, I don't know about the Clark foams, but you definitely would get foam within that body all the time, and the only way to really get it out was to take it apart. So that is a big plus. Also, the way you are supposed to actually store a planer is kind of elevated so that blade isn't, even flush, isn't on like a hard surface. So that actually makes this extend a little bit more, like about 1/8 of an inch. So it does just that. So when you store it, put it all the way in, you don't ever have to worry about that blade actually hitting the bottom. All right? So next, as you can see, the vacuum exhaust. Now I didn't show how to make it, but I basically did show what I was using or the materials that I was using. Basically a toilet flange gasket, which was cheap $7, and then this hose, or this like a downspout, tailpiece, whatever it's called, wall bend. It's got many different names. But what we're doing now on our planers I've been using a 2-piece, real thick, 3/8 inch thick Lexan glass. Now, just for this glass alone, just for that piece, it's roughly about $50 a sheet. So it's not really cost effective for somebody to just go buy that one sheet to make one of these deals. So basically that's what that is. It's heavier duty. It looks a lot cleaner, if you ask me, being clear. The only one thing up until recently that I did not like about it was this being white. So I got a couple of planers that I'm selling right now that do have the white downspout on them, but I did find a supply warehouse that actually has these in black. So that will also make it look just like the Clark foam planers from back in the day. All right, now another big thing that you can see on here is the handle relocation. I showed you guys how to do the handle relocation. I gave you some different dimensions than actually what is utilized from the Clark foam. So this is Clark foam specs. on the length of this and the angles, I mean to the T. Plus you can see the bracket is much different. Now I showed you how to do a bracket that goes straight across, because in this area there is a void. You rivet into that and don't have to worry about hitting nothing. So on this one, to rivet this little bracket in, there is a very minuscule amount of area to actually drill into and then adhere that to, because the motor is in here. If you set this off from one side to the next, you might be damaging your motor. So I didn't show you guys how to do that, but that's what we're utilizing on our planers now, because again, I've got all the Clark foam specs. I make these all to spec. So also you can see that I even went above and beyond. I used black rivets like Clark foam did back in the day. So I even went and splurged on the black rivets to make these as well. Still have the 20-foot cords. I can't find a cost-effective black cord without buying it by the foot, and this stuff buying it by the foot I've seen is really cheaply made, but I really like these lime greens, and it kind of sets my planers off from the other ones out there being made. So that's kind of a telltale sign. I can tell if somebody bought one of my planers or not. So I just like the lime green. That's my my favorite deal on it. Okay, so again, the handle relocation is the same specs as Clark foam, but one thing we're doing differently on our planers, and again, this is not shown anywhere on the internet, but I came up with a way of adhering this handle onto this body without it breaking. Now, the planer that I showed you in those videos that I've been using for 5 years, I would lift it up, and twice on 2 separate occasions, the glue let go from the handle. And then it's a pain in the ass, because if you're a production shaper, you basically got to stop what you're doing and fix that planer or grab a backup planer. And not a lot of people have an extra backup planer. Luckily enough, I got about 4 or 5. So that's what I did with that. You will not find anywhere on the internet how to adhere this handle onto the body the way that I am doing it. Again, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on that either, because I mean that's what kind of sets these planers off from the plain Jane or what everybody else is doing from the videos that I've shown. Okay, so that is the other deal. Now, I am, we also do basically the shaving of the motor housing and the little cage on the front there. One thing I didn't show you guys was you actually have to round off the shoe or the base plate of your planer as well. Everybody that I see selling these things is still this real sharp edge, and that can actually catch as well, because if you are a shaper, you know that you're running these things usually at a 45-degree angle, more so than you are straight on. So that should be rounded as well. And again, we're doing those basically the Clark foam specs as well. All right, so here we got a couple of them done. Now these are used, these are not for sale. This one is for an aspiring young shaper in our area. I did the modification of the handle for him the old way with the stem, and I said, hey man, give me that thing back. I came across a much better way to do all the modifications for him, and luckily enough, I did not do the handle relocation for him at the time. So he has got basically these things, I guarantee you it will not break, as opposed to maybe you dropping it from 6 foot up on the handle, then it might break, obviously. But right now, these things are perfect. So I came out of pocket to redo the handle the correct way. So let me put that one off to the side. Now this is my daily runner, and I love this machine. It's treating me very, very well so far. Also, I do sell these things, and I sell them for the $3.99 that it costs to get a brand new planer. Simply because, again, it's a nostalgic type thing. People like the old body style. Some people like the not so torquey motor in the old school planers, the P20 SBs. So, with that being said, I just don't want you guys to think that I'm some hack doing this or not, doing this free will, but this is a planer that I just got in. Haven't even opened it yet, still sealed. It is still the the stillest stock. You can hear it in there, it's heavy. But I also have one that I just modded up with all the same modifications. This is the way they'll come to you. Every one of them still comes in its original packaging. It'll come with the original packaging. It'll come with the tools that were in it. So it'll come with these as well. And then it also comes with, obviously, the carrying case. Now again, these are brand new machines. These have never been used. Comes with, let's see if I pull this one out. Comes with all your documentation, your limited warranty, which I don't know how well that'll work after I've done all the mods on it, but it comes with everything. We'll put that off to the side. I mean, they're just, the machines are clean. They're beautiful. Come with, again, the Lime. I say a 20-foot cord, but they are roughly 23 feet, so you get a little extra playroom there. Again, it's got the modded handle. It's got the 1 true quarter turn. And then also, I'll flip this upside down. You can see all brand new. It's got a brand new belt. These machines, they're made in China. They're still made in China, so obviously they do put some inferior parts on them. They come with a black belt, and I've said it in my other videos. Sometimes those black belts have actually steel belts in them, and if they start to fray, it'll mess up your foam. So I do these upgraded belts, these bubblegum sole belts or whatever they are, and I put them in there. So also, now this is the one big thing that I do not do on these planers, and I'll let you know why. The only thing that I do not do on the planers, these brand new planers, is the bearing upgrade. And the reason I tell you this is I can direct you in the right place to get the bearings for these things, but there's many different grades of bearings. So the bearings that come in these will last you. If you're only doing a few boards a year or a couple boards a week and you're not running this, they'll last you. They'll last you for a good year at least. And the reason I don't put the new bearings in it is simply for this one reason. Different people have different outlooks on bearing quality. So you can buy, and now be careful, there's surfboard shop / online accounts that are selling these bearings roughly for the $35 to $38 range. I'm not saying any names, but they're the same bearings that you're basically taking out and putting back in. It's just a cheap Chinese bearing. Now, my bearings that I actually put in my daily runner, so there's 4 bearings per planer, 2 and 2. My planer bearings are roughly $20 each, so that's an $80 upgrade. In all honesty, if I were to upgrade to what I feel is the highest quality of bearings, mine are Italian bearings, that if you put them in there at $80, I'd be actually literally giving these things away, or I'd be paying you to take these off my hands, because there's not a lot of markup in doing all the modifications and everything else. I mean, the handle alone, the new mechanism is very difficult to get. A lot of the pieces come from, they don't come from this country. And to build just that mechanism, let's put it this way. The mechanism to build that hot and cold water stem, that's a $16 part. And then let's say another $5 for the plastic for on top, another $5 for whatever. So you're roughly into that, quick math, 16, roughly around the $30 mark to put all that in. These shaft collars alone are $10 a piece. The mechanism is roughly 2 parts altogether is about $25 a piece. So I'm already up there. Another $6 for the handle, odds and ends, everything else, that compression springs, everything else, you're looking at roughly about $45 to $50 as opposed to the $30 markup. So again, there's not a lot of markup in these machines. But if you do want one of these machines, just hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram page is at Brian Pavlick Designs, BrianPavlick. Look me up there. Otherwise, you can hit me up on Facebook, the same, Brian Pavlick. And then also, again, if you want to get one of these, sometimes I'll put them on eBay. I don't put them up for auction. They're basically a buy it now type deal. So And I'll be honest, they go quick. I get people that hit me up literally this last month. I've got quite a few people asking me if I still have any of these. So with that being said, that's the video. That's what to look for. Again, not to crap on anybody's parade, but there is a better way to skin a cat, if you will. So again, Brian Pavlick with Brian Pavlick Designs, and thanks for watching.